I kind of want to start to look again at. It's like tempting now to kind of go into eyes and all these things, but I think I'm going to start just by checking the forehead, which I feel like is getting a little bit too short, perhaps in relation to the rest of the face. I have a fairly big forehead, so I think it needs to shave off some hair or something.
Oh, stop bragging.
So I'm massive to get to.
I'm so intelligent.
Oh, it's so big.
That's that. The late 18th century, early 19th century. We're talking about that.
Yes.
Big head. It means that you're a big thinker.
Let's see. It's like rub something on here. It's going to be slightly different after the sanding. So I think it needs to go up ever so slightly. So it's also like keeping that edge like soft. It's like a bit of a mess in the beginning, getting the color and the value.
And the grey,
the grey.
That grey there.
Yes, I don't want it to be a complete rainbow, which is a problem and a tendency I think I have. So I kind of want it a bit neutral in color. And then it's also, at this point, I should not worry too much about the color. It's more about value and the drawing and structure.
So you're intentionally muting it?
Yes.
I mean, like you see it could be stronger, but you intentionally tone it.
I do want to tone it down a bit because...
That means grey.
That means grey down, maybe.
Because
yes.
that's interesting. If you have a white skin color, you typically mix red, yellow, and white, right? And that becomes too warm, and then you can just sort of pacify it with that grey color.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's like it's the same color, but it just sort of calms down.
Yes, it's the same, but just not so intense. And I think also, as we've been talking about, that it's about focus. Because when I go and I stare at one point, a little point, of course it's going to be very vibrant, very distinct. But that's not going to help the painting, the overall. So it's always to think about that. It's just a little piece of a bigger whole. And I also want to save my warm tones for what's coming forward, more so than like what's receding into space.
Right.
And the top of my forehead, hopefully it's starting to go back. It's not coming out, So it's kind of, you have tipping coming out like this, like a horn, So it's kind of this point maybe is going to be warmer. And you have the warmth through maybe here, and then it will kind of go a bit more grey as we go back in space. So, and then, and now it's also from the sanding and my love for color. It's also a little bit too orange. So I also do intend to kill some of this a little bit. Yeah. And when sanding, I can also pick some of it back out. But obviously now it's getting a little bit too grey. So in the morning.
That's the thing, so what you mix on the palette and then adjusting it to how it looks on the canvas.
Yes.
That's quite important.
It is. It's kind of, and you can't trust really what you have here and like look at this mess, It's just, yes. So I think you have to mix something and then work on it.
This proves that you cannot trust your senses.
No.
I feel very philosophical now.
Yes, getting deep already.
No, but you said something that was really clarifying. I think that point can be reiterated. In the first painting film we did, you talked about the shadow here.
Yes,
I said, why didn't you make the contrast stronger? And then you made that fundamental point that, well, if you look at the totality, then it's not that strong.
Yes.
If you look at that contrast, it becomes
it just washes strong. Out kind of thing. So if I now look right here, of course it's a dark line right there, but if I kind of look like at my eyes, it's just vaguely there.
So you want the eyes to be the focal point here?
Yes.
So whenever you look at something else in the whole head, you have to think about how does that look when you're looking at your eyes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, so it's very important to kind of keep that in mind all the time, and that's like what's hard in the beginning as well, because when you're painting the mouth, it's so tempting to go in and carve it out, but then also you lose the sensation of a mouth. It just becomes this candy almost, these candy lips that you can just put them on. Did you ever do that?
Stop.
Did that when I was a kid, just like gluing them on. So it sticks out too much. So that's not the right thing to do. And then you want that kind of the softness and feel like this form is turning. And you see like it's a bit more darkness on this side than here, but also like the value here and here is not such a huge, it's a little bit of a difference, but it's not much if you squint down. It kind of blends together. So then you have like the warmer tone here, and then as the form turns on my forehead, it's going like more like a grey, cooler kind of tone. So it's about trying to keep, and that's like difficult as well, like to not sculpt everything just with light and dark, but to do it with the temperatures,
Yeah.
which
And
I find very
this
exciting.
just noticing what you did there. So the blue,
My blue.
the fake blue here.
The fake blue.
Because
like
you took
blue
some blue, grey.
A little bit, and they're all in here just to put in there.
To tone down the skin, and then you
Yes.
have that same point that you actually have blue in the skin.
Yes, I have blue in the skin. So it's a little bit extreme still, but I'll mix them like, a little bit together. Finger painting, for adults.
Yeah, it's more exciting than people think.
Yes, I love it. So, get nice, yeah. It's a nice effect, like with the finger paint. And just like slowly build it up and not like stress about things. I think that's also like, when you paint, you kind of feel like, oh God, time is running out, and I need
Especially when someone's filming.
Yes, like I'm so slow, and I'm like very slow as it is. So I can be fast in the beginning, but then it's kind of, it's a little bit better this one.
But I noticed you're extremely attentive to how does that look in the context.
Yes.
You don't go bam, exaggerate, and then the rest has to follow. You're very sort of attentive to how
it goes.
Yeah, if it's integral part, or if it's sort of looks superimposed.
Yes, no, you don't want that, because I think that's like kind of ruining the look and the whole. So very concerned with that. Is that kind of going? Like, see, just trying and failing here, mostly failing. So let's see there, and then it's just like about getting the form, and then I'll just keep working over it and over it and over it a million times. That's like how I go about things. So it's just very slowly, sometimes steady, is it? But
slowly but surely, yeah.
Surely, yeah, hopefully. So, and just like trying to get that impression, and then it's also nice when you do work with glazes, and you can work on top of things as well later when it's dry. I can show it maybe. Just wipe something. See. Yeah. If I do now a little light, this is going to look horrendous. Maybe I should take this color just to make it a little bit calmer. But like, if I take like this little light one and just like rub it on, you see, it will kind of get this different. Like, let's see if I can do it properly. See, this guy kind of is cool. You see, when you rub it on. Well, if you have something dark, just to kind of not really destroy it, just for the sake of yes. Where is a nice point to do this, which is dry? Is this light enough? I'll just do it here. If I just look at that, how wonderful, and you look at that, how warm it becomes. Yeah. So it's like extremely warm when you take dark over something lighter, and when you take light over something darker, it gets like a cooler tone, which is kind of interesting. Let's see if we can like wipe that away, because that's just going to be very annoying, like if it's a black spot. But you see here what happens when we do that? It gets this dark kind of warm glow to it. And when you have on this side, when it's like cooler, it gets like a cooler temperature. So that's also something that you can just scumble across, which I kind of like and enjoy to do. So yes, but let's see, get back to the actual painting. So, and I keep like looking at the skull, and trying to just focus on this kind of squarish here, and this, as I talked about last time, this pointiness. So, and then squinting, or I usually just blur my eyes. Basically, I don't squint because I like to keep the light, but I just blur it a bit. So, just looking a bit strange doing that, and then you kind of get a clear kind of form for your light, like the shape, so to speak, that we talk about at the academy.
No, but I mean that's a good way of thinking. It's just that it mustn't remain only shapes.
No, it has to kind of be thought of as the whole thing also. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a crucial thing. So you need to look at the shape to get the structure and to make it kind of keep it inside some parameter. But then also not forget that it's a part of a bigger hierarchy of things. So,
I mean, like when you look at the detail, you sort of have to remember that image of the whole.
Yes, it has
or
to
sort of
sit
focus,
with the whole.
Zoom in, zoom out. That's go
so like look at that and like look at that bit and then look at the whole. Look like all the way like this.
Right.
Because if you just do one thing, it's just going to be this like mosaic that's not.
Yeah, well, then you get in that thing which is typical mistake that new beginners or amateurs make, where you find an air in surrounded by darker hair, and that air becomes lighter than the forehead because finally there's some light,
Yes,
so
it's like hitting like the back hair. It's like, oh, it's so exciting.
Then it's like people get really happy about finally seeing some light that they
and it's fun to paint light, isn't it? So it's like I don't blame them. I love it too.
But of course, white is light is white.
Yes, that's like pure white too, which is very dead. So you shouldn't really put just pure white ever. Maybe one dot, maybe if it's like a little highlight in the eye or something.
Might
but
be
even then you
in a
need
cloud, but
no. Not even then. So I think it always needs some like dirt in it. So
Thank you for checking out this video from the School of Apelles. To watch the full video and access our premium library, go to caveofapelles.com/subscribe and become a $10 patron. That's caveofapelles.com/subscribe.